Knicks tape. Oh, Knicks tape. Oh, yeah. The Knicks tape, the organization that keeps on gifting. Thank you. As we're waiting on Dame. As we get minor little tinkering free agent signings. Leave it to the front office. The CAA hotbed that is the New York Knickerbockers to go out here and do the thing that allows me to give you a shrink. Oh man, welcome in. This is Timeline T. I guess let me do the official thing. Man, had a couple days off and can't even get into the intro. Okay. Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling good. How are you? Welcome in to Timeline T. I am your host, D. Sam D, aka Sid May Jr. Hope your 4th of July was enjoyable. Spent the time with loved ones, had some good food, good eats, all that type of good shit. Welcome in. Pull on up. We got time today. We're going to get into some things quick, fast, and in a hurry. Not going to waste too much time filibustering. Y'all see it there. The Knicks said no to Paul George. Now, it wasn't like the Clippers came, hat in hand and were begging the Knicks, but they said no to Paul George. There is a Dame Lillard update, a minor one, but the story is packing on the layers. We'll try to peel some of those back. And because I know I have some NFL audience and it's kind of a dead period for some NFL, it's kind of hard to scrape up some stuff that I feel is newsworthy and noteworthy from the world of the NFL, but got a couple of news and notes to kind of give y'all fix, give y'all feel of some National Football League. Don't worry. This is probably the last couple of weeks of every single day Timeline T streams. I'll pop in as big events pop up, but your man's been going strong since Super Bowl. Straight through. It's a lot of time. So, everyday streaming, I'll pop in when necessary. We'll find some sort of schedule that is way more comfortable once football and basketball come back. But a little bit of a summer break for your boy. I will be providing content, different types of content, so subscribe and lock in. I think you'll find it knowledgeable and entertaining, just like you find this stream. All right, let's go ahead and tap in. All right, let's jump right into the screen. Y'all have probably heard it by now, but if you haven't, the New York Knicks turned down a trade for Paul George. Yes, LA Clippers, Paul George. Yes, the Clippers are willing to break up Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for some RJ Barrett, for some Quentin Grimes, for some Evan Fournier. This is a real thing that happened. And we have Alan Hahn, who went on ESPN radio, and he laid it all out. They had a chance to get Paul George. They said it was too expensive. They don't want to do it. So the Knicks are saying Paul George, Pandemic P, 40 plus M's a year is too expensive. They've already backed out of that. They talked to the Clippers. The Clippers gave what it would cost. So again, the Knicks reached out to the Clippers to see about Paul George. Okay? The Knicks initiated the contact between the two teams. Once the Clippers got back to them and said, okay, Paul George, sure, we'll get back to you. And when they got back to them, this is the price. There was only one problem, though. Paul George was involved in the trade talks. And your man's Pandemic P wants a contract extension if he's to be moved on. And that one little stipulation, allegedly, is what stopped the Knicks from pursuing the deal any further. So the Knicks said no, not necessarily to the Clippers, but to Paul George wanting an extension. Pandemic P overplayed his hand? That seems very, very interesting that Paul George, to want to go to New York, to want to play for the Knicks, he says, yeah, I'll go if you pay me into the future. So, We'll continue on. Then Paul George said, but I want an extension. And they said, we're not doing that. And they walked away. So Paul George, as far as now goes, it's off the table. Now that means for the Knicks, Paul George is off the table. Doesn't mean that the Clippers have completely removed Paul George off the table. The Clippers are still open for the right deal and the right compensation to move Paul George. Let's continue on. This allegedly is the framework of the deal that the Knicks turned down because Paul George wanted an extension. This is the framework, the bones of the deal. RJ as in RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, 3 first-round picks plus the extension. Now, Knicks Tape fans are saying great job front office on passing on this. And I understand why they would say that. Here's the funniest thing about it. And I was on ESPN Radio earlier today with the homie Greg Larnard. And we were talking about this deal. And I said, you know what? This might be, because he was asking me, what's been the best move of NBA free agency? What's been the worst move? I said, I think the best move of NBA free agency is this move not happening. And I mean it. I think the best move of the entire NBA offseason so far is this deal not happening. And you may think, well, damn, Sam actually likes something that the Knicks did. It's not just about that. It's the fact that I don't like this deal for the Knicks. I didn't like this deal for the Clippers. And I didn't like this deal for Pandemic P. Paul George. Nobody would have won ultimately if this trade would have went through. Paul George wouldn't work in New York because he would be looked upon as a savior. They have the guy in Jalen Brunson that they're saying is their number one, but we all know Jalen Brunson is not a true number one. And he's damn sure not a number one for an NBA championship winning team. But for the Knicks, he's their number one. Julius Randle, black hole that he is still a guy that brought some stability to the organization a few years ago. So he is a guy that is held in high regard, even though it's a love-hate thing. He's entered into that mellow Patrick Ewing type of atmosphere amongst Knicks fans where we love him sometimes and we hate him sometimes, but he's our guy. Okay? Paul George would be seen as, oh, this is the best player on the team now. You're the savior. What the hell has Pandemic P ever done to save a franchise? If anything, he has hurt franchises. If anything, he has crippled franchises. If anything, he has gaslighted franchises and fan base with hope. Paul George would not survive here. And even as Chief Nick Hater number one, I can say that truthfully and transparently. Paul George would not work as a Knick. His game wouldn't translate as a number one option. We're talking about a guy that people were trying to say he is on the same level, or he was LeBron's biggest competitor at his apex as a Pacer. Those were real conversations that were being had. Now, ultimately, we know how that worked out. He got snake bit. He had the broken leg with Team USA. We understand all that. And he's kind of been beset with other injuries post that. But the bottom line is this. Paul George is not a number one either. He would be the number one here by default. Now, Jalen Brunson would be the heart and soul and all that type of shit. And Julius Randle would be like that Patrick Ewing, that Spreewell, that Marbury, that Carmelo, that polarizing type figure. But PG would come in here and try to act like he's with the Pacers when that was 7-8 years ago. So this move was not going to work out well for Paul George. And it was not going to work out well for the Knicks because having Paul George as your number one option doesn't bring you any closer to a Larry O.B. than without Paul George. Now, as much as I don't like RJ Barrett in terms of a piece, Quentin Grimes is fine. Fournier's an expiring deal. 3 of the first round picks, fine. You've been amassing picks like you're Sam Presti, so 3 first round picks is light. You still got a truckload of those left. So while from that point of view, you can spin this like, oh, this is an easy one for the Knicks. But no, because the team would not be that much better. You're going to bring a guy with a quasi-broken body to New York? A guy who can't play 65, 70 games anymore? You think the Mecca's going to understand the load management necessary for Paul George to make it to the playoffs? After all that they would have to give up in a potential deal? You're looking at 6 players plus an extension. So not only are you bringing them in and you're giving away 6 players to do so, but now you're extending him to have the older version of him, assumingly the worser version of him, for the most amount of money. And you're signing up for that sight unseen without him playing a game for you. Because Paul George thinks he's one of those. Now, he still thinks he's Indiana Paul George. That's the problem. So the Knicks would have lost in this deal as well. Paul George would have lost becoming here and being a Knick because there would have been too much pressure to be a savior. The Knicks would have lost, realizing that they would have to give up 6 pieces and then extend a person with a broken body already and still not be better than Miami with Dame Lillard. And then for the Clippers, the thought process is, well, they might be finally coming around to the point of the Kawhi and PG thing might not be working. What gave you that bright idea? Neither one of them could last a whole season. You gave the bag to Kawhi, who has had a degenerative knee for how long? And you gave another one. You accepted the bag and gave up a shit ton of picks, future first round picks, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Pandemic P? Because Kawhi pressed you and said, I'm only signing here if you give me a second guy. Because Kawhi was going to be a Laker. Some funny business happened behind the scenes. That deal fell apart. So Uncle Dennis and Kawhi flipped over to the Clippers. How are we going to make this work? Kawhi had a list, much like we saw Aaron Rodgers have a list when he was telling the Jets what's good. This is my wish list. Kawhi had a wish list. Jimmy Butler was on that list. Pandemic P was on that list, but he was about 3rd or 4th on that list. He had other names that he wanted, but the Clippers could not get, or Boardman could not convince those higher on the list to pull up. So then he finally got to Paul George. And the Clippers made the deal once Paul George said, yeah, Kawhi, I would love to play with you, and that was it. And neither one had been healthy enough for us to see the apex of what those two could be together. There's nothing more coulda, shoulda, woulda than Kawhi Leonard and Paul George from the beginning of that era. What was that, 2020 to 2023? 2019 to 2023. And the thing is now, they want to run it back. They both want 4-year maxes. And that's why Pandemic P was like, hey, if you trade me, whoever trades me, I want an extension. Because I was going to get it from the Clippers. I'm not going to lose my extension. So whoever trades for me, I'm going to get that bag. And once Knicks tape said no, that was it. But for the Clippers, you make this deal, and you're either saying, A, we're also going to trade Kawhi, or you're going to try to run this back with the Beard, Kawhi, and RJ Barrett? Are you trying to convince me, Lawrence Frank? Lawrence Frank, you think we're that stupid? It's a lose, lose, lose scenario. This is a trade where nobody wins. So I'm actually happy that this deal didn't go through. The Knicks front office did something right for a change. But the bottom line is they reached out about Paul George. So that should tell you again, did y'all not watch the games? Did y'all not check the injury reports? Y'all didn't know that PG ain't really PG no more? From a health standpoint, bare minimum? Bruh. It's a lose, lose, lose. So now, the fact that the Clippers were actually having conversations of having Paul George leave led to, well, what's good with Kawhi? So now we got a rumor from last week that talks about Kawhi and what potentially could be there for Kawhi and the Clippers if they decide to part ways. The biggest subplot in the NBA that not enough people are talking about is Paul George. I'll blow this up for y'all. Is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers being extension eligible in Kawhi's case in July? I think in Paul George's case in September. Because I just don't think, based on what we've heard, that if those guys walk in the door and ask for a 4-year max extensions, I don't think the Clippers are just giving them that to them, is I think what they should have said there. So, if Paul George gets moved, what does that mean for Kawhi Leonard? If Boardman is left alone, or potentially with the beard, if the rumored deal between the Clippers and the Sixers goes through, what the hell does that mean for Kawhi? Can Kawhi get another 4-year max? And from whomst? Because all the time that we have spent talking about the Clippers and what they can bring and what they won't bring and potentially what they could do, that was a team that I thought matched up well if they could have gotten to Phoenix. Because if they're healthy, Kawhi should be able to play well against a Devin Booker or even a KD. And Paul George should be competent against a Devin Booker or a KD. But we didn't get a chance to see it because those two are never healthy. And when we keep going back and forth over, well, how many games is good games? Remember, nobody plays 82, or star players don't play 82 games anymore. Star players don't play 80 games anymore. Star players at the maximum will play 75 games. More so, you're looking at that 65 to 73 range. But on the higher end, your star player is going to miss 10 to 15 games every year. So that's baked in, right? So 67 games is where you're looking at in terms of, okay, I'm expecting my star to give me 67 games. If he gives you 70, that's a bonus. 72, 73, that is icing, okay? Look at what we have gotten from Paul George. 56. That's not good, bruh. Boardman, 50. And we can just go down the line in terms of every year. 52. 52, 57. So he's never given 60 games as a Clipper in 4 years. And then we go to Pandemic P. 48 games, 48 games, 54 games, 31 games, 56 games. And yet the Knicks initiated the call to the Clippers. What about this made you think, put the call in? How badly do you not want RJ Barrett on this team that you were willing to move for a broken-bodied Paul George, who's more interested in potting these days than playing 60 games? Somebody make it make sense to me. I'm having a hard time understanding how this goes. Because ultimately, moving on from Kawhi and Paul George would be a tremendous failure by this organization. Steve Ballmer walks in and he drops down $2 billion straight cash, homie. Gets the property in Inglewood. They break ground on a new stadium or a new arena. And it's all supposed to be peaches and cream. He's got wings for days. It's supposed to be lit with the Clippers. It's supposed to be title contenders. Remember what they had, that Sports Illustrated cover? What was that Sports Illustrated cover? Come on. I got time today. We got time today. Sports Illustrated Clippers. Images. Where's that cover? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. Right here. This is where we at. This is where we were at. Pat Bev, PG, Boardman, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Will, and your man Shamit. How the hell we got 6 guys on this cover? We know Shamit shouldn't have been on this cover. We all know Shamit should not have been on this cover, but it's all good. But bruh, we sitting here with Trez, who's not, I don't think he's even in the league, or he's a free agent. No team's rushing to sign him though. Lou Will, who's retired. Shamit, I think, just signed with somebody, or at least an offer sheet. Pat Bev had to go to Philly, assumingly to replace the Beard and James Harden. And now we got 2 guys who can't play 60 games. So there was a lot of fanfare built around the whole thing of the lure of the new LA Clippers. New uniforms, the Old English font. That was a name I had for them on the D70 podcast. Link for that is in the description. You used to call them the Old English font, because look at this font, bruh. It's the Old English font. This could just be a real estate play for Ballmer, which is fine. But this was supposed to be the beginning, the dawning of a new era. Unfortunately, we've got nothing but failures. We got more things to laugh about with the Clippers than we do have things to celebrate. And by the way, who is paying $25 for that cover? Who is going to pay $25? Not even a Clipper fan, not even Clipper Daryl is paying $25. I'll hit the chat. I see y'all. Thank y'all for pulling up. I appreciate the like button being hit. The algorithm likes it, so therefore I like it as well. Scrub Zero's in the house. What's good, Scrub Zero? The Knicks still gonna nick? Yeah, man. This is just. But here's the thing, though. I actually like the fact that they said no. You don't give up 3 first-round picks, Grimes, RJ, and Fournier, even though that's an experiment. You don't do that for no Paul George. You don't. Kawhi, something to think about. PG, Pandemic P, and now they're saying that the Knicks initiated the conversations? For what? What did they see? What did they see the last 4 years for somebody who can't play 60 games that said, oh yeah, let's reach out to Lawrence Frank? Again, somebody make it make sense to me. Luban in the chat. I don't know what they were thinking in PG. Yeah, it's weird, bro. It's very, very weird. I can't stand the 6'6" wing, too small. I mean, we saying PG 6'6"? I think PG will fight you on that. Let me see. We got the PG height. PG saying he's 6'8", bro. I mean, I think the fact of the matter is that if the Knicks were to actually go out there, if they do this deal, right? You got Brunson. Your big 3 is Brunson, Julius, Pandemic P. I don't think you're going to get the same Brunson if Pandemic P is there. Only because Pandemic P needs his shots. You got 3 ISO players now. Jalen Brunson is an ISO player. Julius Randle is a black hole. He's an ISO player. And now you're bringing in another ISO player? Like if PG was just a straight shooter, straight gunner, then maybe. But no, he's not that. Like, he's still just a pure scorer. His shooting has improved, so I'm not here to poo-poo that. But in regards to His strongest skill set is just as a scorer, as a bucket. Where's the touches going to come from? We've seen issues with Brunson and Randall already. Now you're going to bring in another ISO dominant player? And we know Thibodeau don't have no idea of how to draw up anything from an offensive standpoint. He has no philosophy. His philosophy is give the ball to the best player and let him figure it out. I watched it for years with the Bulls. He did the same thing with the Timberwolves, and he's run the same philosophy back. If it ain't broke, don't fix it with the Knicks. So I don't even understand why the Paul George thing even entered the sphere of the Knicks front office, but it is what it is. Oh, Luban was talking about RJ. Okay. It's either too small, but that's not enough. I mean, I've never been a fan of RJ. I think RJ is fine. You know, some people will have you believe like he's a year away from being a year away. I'm not on that type of time. I just think he is who he is. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with him, but I just don't see superstar here. I see at best a third option on the champion. So if you're selling it under those contexts, then I'm not mad with the whole RJ thing. But if you're trying to tell me, oh, RJ's going to get better at what? Is what my answer would be. Because everyone got hyped off of this year here. The second year when he shot 40% from three, everyone got hyped. It said, oh shit, we might have gotten what we thought we were going to get with the third overall pick. And then he's kind of fallen back around league average and then below league average this year. And he's a guy that's been healthy. So the sample size is there. So while, you'll have Knicks fans, especially here on YouTube, run the numbers up by, glorifying everything that the Knicks do as greatness, it's time to have a real hardcore conversation about what RJ Barrett's ceiling actually is. How much better can RJ Barrett get? He's supposed to get more shots. How many more shots do you want him to get? 15 shots, 17 shots, 16 shots. How many more shots? Do you think RJ Barrett is a 20-shot-a-night player? When he's already shooting in the low 40s with the shots he's already getting, you think giving him more shots is going to make that percentage go up? So I have a hard time just falling in with the narrative of, well, he's young, he can get better. Yeah, and he can also just not get better. Like, that's a real thing. We've seen guys come in. You can't just assume someone's apex is infinite just because they're young. We've seen a lot of players come in, they're hot shit in their youth, and we think, oh my God, in 3-4 years, this guy's going to be incredible. And then they just kind of stay at that level. And that's fine for some. But if you keep assuming some switch is going to be switched with RJ, I'm asking, where's the proof? I haven't seen the proof. And I have gone back and forth with Knicks fans online, offline, and I get their points of, I watch RJ every night and I've seen the growth. No one's saying there's no growth. I'm saying at his apex, what does it look like? Because in every deal that is significant, you're going to have to put him in there. Because that's the biggest young asset you got. Grimes is a nice story, but he ain't enough. It has to be RJ plus. I don't know. I head back to the chat. Scrub Zero. RJ Barrett is a good, sorry dude in New York. I see the vision. I'll touch on that in a second, but I see the vision. Luban, I want RJ back at the 2 and Grimes back to the bench. I don't know if Tibbs will do that. Well, I guess he kind of has to do that, right? Because who else going to be the 2? Luban likes RJ. Luban is one of those Knicks fans I was referencing. He's one of those Knicks fans where I battle offline and, Scrub Zero, Barrett needs to stay at least 10 to 12 shot a game range. I mean, he's way over that. And that goes to the meniscus tearing taskmaster, Tom Thibodeau, more so than anything else. Luban agrees. Okay. Me and Luban agreeing on the Knicks. I'll just say this. We have come a long way. We have come a long way. Sam, I haven't seen anyone just turn the switch on. You're right. Kenny, last superstar, that surprised. I'll say Giannis surprised me. Like, again, because we didn't know anything about him, right? Just a dude with fuzzy footage. He was a dude with standard def highlights on a plot spot like this, YouTube. They were showing us YouTube highlights of Giannis when he got drafted. So what am I to expect? How am I supposed to assume this dude's going to morph into, a diesel, damn near unstoppable force that can go coast to coast and can win a couple of MVPs and a Larry O.B.? How am I supposed to know that was going to happen? So I would say Giannis is probably the last superstar where it wasn't necessarily a switch. Well, you know what? There kind of was a switch for me when it came to Giannis. When Giannis started putting that first MVP, when he just started bully balling, and a lot of people made the comparison, but I think it's true. I hadn't seen anyone be that physically dominant in the paint since Shaq left. And that's when I was like, oh, if he keeps doing that, that's money all day. If that's the game, because remember, we kept asking, is there a secondary move? I had one of my better performing podcast episodes was, does Giannis Antetokounmpo have a secondary move? And I spent the whole pod trying to break down his game of like, what more can this man do? And he developed a secondary move, and it just became like a turnaround J, which is fine. Because now you have the ability to act like you're going to bully ball and steamroll somebody from 3/4 court, and then you can stop, reverse pivot, turn over the right shoulder, and hit the jimmy. That's a thing you could do. So I think that's when I was like, oh no, that's going to be unstoppable. And it pretty much has been. But in terms of somebody else that just turned a switch on and became a star, a superstar, it's hard to fathom. I really can't. No one really comes to mind. And 4 years is a good sample size, yo. Like 4 years of RJ and 4 years of him getting good minutes because it's the meniscus tearing taskmaster Tom Thibodeau, for one, but also 4 years of getting good enough shot attempts. I mean, getting 15 shots in your second year, and then 17, and then 16, even after bringing in such a ball-dominant guard in Jalen Brunson, you're still getting 16 shots up. Now, let's see, did it dip in the playoffs? It dipped by 1 shot in the playoffs. The three-point percentage stayed bad. So, I mean, and he gave you 19 to get, like, RJ, I think this is who he is. I think RJ Barrett will give you a very long career of this right here, okay? And for some, that's great. But if I'm trying to build a champion, if I'm trying to build a core, you have to envision this player as your third option. The problem is you're going to have to max him out at some point, and I don't know if I'm maxing out my third option if my third option is RJ Barrett. I don't mind maxing out my third option when it's Bradley Beal. I don't know if I'm going to max out my third option when it's RJ Barrett. Luban, I guess Giannis' switch came with the growth spurt from 6'8" to 6'11". Yeah, but I don't think he had the muscles yet. Like, he had the growth spurt. So, yes, that happened. But I don't think he had the strength yet. Like, he was still growing into just the strength aspect of it. But, yeah, it was around that time. It wasn't that long after that, because then the weight training really kicked in. And here is Dre, who loves to give us hot takes that he gets from the timeline. So Dre's pulling up. I heard Maxey is untouchable in Philly. Yeah, but I wouldn't go that far about it. I wouldn't look too deeply into that, Dre, only because of this, right? Allegedly, there have been real deals that have involved Maxey. Now, I know what Philly will say publicly, which is what you're saying here. Maxey's untouchable. I'm telling you what's actually happening. There's been talks of Maxey in some real potential deals. Now, whether those deals come through or not, or whether those things happen, I don't know. But don't let what's being fed to the media, to the press, which is then aggregated on Twitter all over the place for us to retweet and send it to the group chat and all of that. Don't let that be the defining word. I can tell you, as someone that works in and around the industry and, can reach out to some people if I really have to, Maxey's name is in discussions. Now, how much? I'm not going to put that out there because I'm not trying to be out here libel and all of that, but I'm just going to let you know he's in some trade talks. Untouchable, from how I was told back in the day, was if you even mention his name, it's a non-starter. It's not, we would need to be blown away to trade him. That's kind of where I think they are with Maxey. It's not even mentioning his name ends the conversation. It's, you're going to have to really blow us over, pause, to make us even facilitate this deal. That, to me, is not untouchable. That just means you better come correct with the offer. All right, so we got that piece. Let's see what else we got. The Dame saga continues. So here's where we're at, right? There are over 5 teams interested in helping facilitate a multi-team trade that would send Damian Lillard to Miami. This is all per Mark Spears, who low-key might be replacing Chris Haynes as the official mouthpiece of Damian Lillard. We shall see. But a lot of Dame quotes or Dame content from how Dame and his people are thinking is now coming from Mark J. Spears, not Chris Haynes. Make of that what you will. Remember, we were here on draft night live streaming, and when the Blazers took Scoot, I said, all right, Chris Haynes, what does Dame think via your tweets? And mans went 0 dark 30 for the next 4 hours. So it might be Mark J. Spears who's now the mouthpiece, because we get a direct quote, well, not a quote from reporting that Mark Spears has done. Damian Lillard wants to play for Miami and only Miami. I have been continually, don't get him fucked up. I have been continually told since Saturday, Miami and only Miami, okay? Certainly it's easier said than done. I'm told that while Portland isn't happy with potential packages, there are over 5 teams interested in a potential multi-team trade that could get it done. It won't be today or tomorrow or perhaps the next day, but I believe it will ultimately end up with Lillard going to Miami. While Lillard does not have a no-trade clause, it doesn't make sense to trade for a future Hall of Famer who doesn't want to be there. It's a lot of word salad for, it's Miami and nothing else. They could have stopped the quote right here. Damian Lillard wants to play for Miami and only Miami, period. All this other shit is just like fluff. The main thing is Damian Lillard wants to play for Miami and only Miami. And the problem is that the Blazers don't want no damn Tyler Hero. And I don't blame them. They don't want no damn Tyler Hero. And I don't blame them. But the problem is, what else you gonna get? And that's why you got to bring in a third team. And there was talk of the Spurs last week before the holiday weekend. We heard talk of the Spurs getting in there, and the Spurs would get Tyler Hero, and then they would send picks, and Miami would send picks, assuming first rounders, to Portland. So Portland would get first rounders from San Antonio and Miami, probably thrown in with Duncan Robinson for this deal. But again, like I think I said last week, that ain't enough either. I'm giving you a top 10 player. You can't just shut me up by saying, well, here's Duncan Robinson and a couple of first-round protected, probably, first-round picks from the Spurs and the Heat, and go ahead and give me Damian Lillard. Nah, dogs. This is going to be an interesting bluff. Who blinks first? Is Dame going to stand 10 toes down? And the Blazers, who have a new regime with Joe Cronin in there, Joe Cronin is a little green on the job. He's done a great job in drafting. Shaedon Sharpe, made the right choice by, not trading the third pick and taking Scoot Henderson. So Cronin has shown an aptitude for drafting. Now we need to figure out, can he do trades well? Does he know business acumen, business savvy? Can he play the game of poker? Can he hold a good poker face while Dame is having his opinions put out here by blue check boys? Can Cronin and the Portland Trailblazers hold firm and say, no, Dame, we're not just going to take any old thing for you just because you don't want to be here? It's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out, because ultimately, both sides know this has to end. It's like that bad relationship. We know this ain't working out. So Dame, through his people, finally said the words, I'm done. I don't want to be here no more. Okay, cool. Well, who gets to keep what? And this is what it is. When you have a long-term relationship and you decide to break away, there's a lot of stuff that has to get ironed out. It can't just be, all right, see ya, and that's it. There's years involved here. So the Blazers are like, well, look, I'm willing to give Dame up, but I'm not just going to take anything just because, you only want to play for Miami. The hell has that got to do with me? Stand 10 toes down and don't report. Stand 10 toes down and don't play this season. Force my hand. But if you think sending Mark Spears, Chris Haynes, and all the other blue check boys say, he only wants to play for Miami, cool. Well, tell Miami to find more stuff to give me for you. Because that's what this is. Portland is not happy with what they're being offered for Damian Lillard. And if you're telling me the best that they can get is either they deal directly with Miami and it's a combination of Hero, Duncan Robinson, and some picks, or if we go the Spurs 3-team route, I'm going to get Duncan Robinson and a couple of picks from both Miami and San Antonio. That ain't enough for a top 10 player. I'm potentially handing you a Larry O.B. And you want me to take Tyler Hero for it? You got me fucked up. If I'm Joe Cronin, and I think this is what he's been sending out with his missives, that, all of this stuff is meaning that Portland does not like what they've been offered. And this is why we have Brooklyn in the mix now. Brooklyn's trying to get Ben Simmons into this deal. Anyone who's got a bad contract, throw it into this Dame thing, and let's see if we can get something to pop off. Brooklyn's trying to get Ben Simmons in there. Shams Charania, no team will want to take on the possibility of adding a disgruntled superstar to their mix. So again, we've got Chris Haynes, we've got Mark Spears, and now we got Shams all out here doing Dame's work. Doing Dame's work. Are these teams going to be scared of Damian Lillard? If you're Brooklyn, you have an attractive core that you could flip to Portland to get Dame. And you can still hang on to Mikal Bridges, by the way. You can do this with Cam Johnson and some other pieces. And there was reports that, Jason Tatum is out here trying to talk to Dame. Now, we know ain't nobody trying to go to no damn Boston. We know ain't no, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just know. It's the reason why they went after Porzingis. I'm just saying, like, there's no... But this is what it is. If Dame is so steadfast on Miami, if I'm Portland, I call his bluff. Okay, if we don't get an offer we like, which they're in their right to do so, then stand 10 toes down. Stand in it. Stay at home all summer. Stay at home through training camp. Stay at home through preseason. If you really about that action, then do that. Force my hand. Portland still has the leverage. I know the NBA is about player empowerment, and to a certain degree, it's true. But the team still has the rights to trade you. You can't trade yourself. We've seen Melo blow it up. We've seen the Beard blow it up multiple times. We've seen players force their way out. Anthony Davis forced his way to LA. We've seen it. But how many have been able to do it at this stage of their career? Melo had a lot left. AD was not even in his prime. Y'all tell me, I'll hit the chat. Scrub Zero. I heard the Nets as a third team potentially involved, but Ben Simmons is the roadblock in that deal. It's certainly not enough for just Hero. Facts, yeah. Yeah, we got that here. Yeah. Ben Simmons is in that mix. You know, and it's also Ben Simmons' workout season. So there's videos of him cooking, shooting threes, you know, hitting Tim Duncan shots off the glass. Like Ben Simmons is out here cooking dudes. So, you know, it's that time of the year. You know you've reached summer when the Ben Simmons highlight mixtape comes out. Scrub Zero. No one should be worried about Dame on face value. Dame a day late and $1 short and requesting a trade. Yeah, this should have happened at least 2 years ago. This should have happened at least 2 years ago. And that's kind of my problem with it, is like, you're doing this now when you finally realize they're in full rebuild mode. You didn't see that the rebuild happened when they broke up CJ and you. You should have known it's time to go. When they decided we're going to find somebody younger, cheaper, and potentially better in Anthony Simons over CJ McCollum, you should have known then, oh yeah, it's time. And then they let go of Terry Stotts, DeBron, and Chauncey Billups, first-time coach. Like, what did you think was happening? Like, you saw a rebuild happening right in front of you, and you decided to do nothing about it. Because you didn't want to be called a hypocrite from running from the grind. So now you wait 2 years, and now you want to officially run from the grind, when you should have been running from it years ago. You telling me like all this here? Let's go ahead and get the Dame. I mean, 60 games, under 60 games, hasn't played 80 games since 2018. Gave you 66 and 67, so that's roundabout where you want to be for today's superstar, right? And again, I got to remember, how long was Dame at Wright State? He stayed all 4 years, right? Wait. He came into the league at what age? Yeah, he came into the league at 22, so he stayed all 4 years. That's a lot of basketball. That's a lot of basketball, bruh. You played all 4 years at Wright State. Or was it Weber State? Whatever college you went to. He played 4 years, right? Came into the league at 22. You came in 4 years. You're 10 years in, bruh. How many more you got? It's a real question. It's a Hall of Famer. He's all that shit already. How many more years you got? It's a lot of basketball. I guess I know today's players have the best advanced, physical therapy and post-game science that no other era has had. This is the most intelligent era in terms of nutrition and therapy and post-game rituals and all. It's the best time for that. How many more years you think he could do this? Honestly, how many more years you think Dame Lillard could be this guy? 4 years of college, 10 years of pro, and playing heavy minutes. And he's not the biggest guy in the world. How many more years? And are you willing to give up next to nothing just to hand him away? I can't do it. If I'm Portland, can't do it. Give me something substantial, and then we'll talk. So I think the Nets, you see here, the Nets, the Celtics, the Spurs, and Jazz are just some teams that could easily offer more draft equity and prospects. which is what the Blazers are prioritizing. But the problem is that Dame only wants Miami. So they have to deal with Miami. So if you're the Blazers, then you're going to have to find a way to get some of these teams in. But they ultimately want Dame. Like the Jazz wants Dame. Jazz don't want no Tyler Hero, although he fits the, he looks the part for Utah Jazz, but. Script Zero, 10 plus years is 10 plus years and 4 years of college. That's a lot of basketball. I give another 2, maybe 3 years if he's lucky. I'm leaning towards agreeing with you. I'm leaning towards agreeing with you because there's a lot when you're talking about someone who is taking on the crux of the workload. The 38 minutes is one thing, and this is as a rookie out the gate, by the way. Even 36 minutes, 10 years in. 36 minutes, 21 shots a night. That's low for a number one option, right? But because he's so proficient, 46% from the floor, 37% from three. Because it takes a lot of fucking threes, 11 threes a game, right? How does that look when Spoelstra asks him to play defense? Let's go ahead and look at his defensive numbers. I don't expect them to be that good. But let's just go ahead for the hell of it and look at the defensive rating, which is just one metric, but it's something to figure out. And let me make sure y'all can see this. Let me slide this over. I'm doing this through the power of Ecamm Live. If you want a trial of Ecamm Live, the link for that is in the description. This is a really bad defensive rating, bro. You see this down here? You see this down here? 121. Again, if you're not familiar with defensive rating or offensive and defensive rating, in offensive rating, it's per 100 possessions. So the higher your number is after 100, the better you are at it. In defensive rating, it's the opposite. You want your number to be lower, closer to 100 than away from it. Damian Lillard has a 126 offensive rating. That's top tier. That's top tier. He has a 121 defensive rating. That's worse than Luka. Worse than Luka. And it's not like it's an anomaly, because what happened the year before? 120. Year before that, 118, 117, 112, 109. So somewhere around here, at the peak athleticism, he played defense. And then once he became the dude, 4 straight years of horrendous defensive ratings. 4 straight years of horrible defensive ratings. Also, offensive ratings are what you would think they are for someone of Dame's level. 120, 121, 126, 125. Had a dip down to 112, but back up to 126. But that 121 and a steady climb to 121. How's that going to fly in Miami? And we all know how bad Luka is defensively. Facts. And Luka's defensive rating, I believe, was a 115. That's Vorb. 113 for Luka. 113 for Luka. And Dame is out here with a 120? Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, these numbers are not as bad when you compare them to Dame. 109, 110, 111. Dame would kill for these last 4 years. Would kill. Look, man, it's sometimes you just have to understand, like, all right, this is a wrap. It's not working. It's never going to work. We've gotten close. We got to the conference finals once. You know, we got bounced up out of here as a 3 seed against AD and the Pelicans. It just hasn't worked. They've been snake bit by injuries. Zach Collins was always hurt. Yusuf Nurkic was always hurt. It's not Dame's fault. It's not his fault. He played in the era of Steph Curry, someone who is better than him. It's not his fault. Any other era, Dame would be what people like. Dame would be the one getting movies. He'll be the one getting documentaries on Apple TV. But he's not Steph. Them's the breaks. Some people really felt the Blazers shouldn't take Michael Jordan because they had Clyde Drexler. They thought they had the premier shooting guard. And then Jordan happened. Them's the breaks. I'm sure Dame thinks I'm the best player of my era. Not when you're in the same era as Steph, and he does all the things that you do great, he does them better than you. Neither one of you are point guards. So we'll take that part out. Y'all both are just undersized shooting guards. But every single thing, like even defense, let's see. Steph's defensive rating, I don't think it's even as bad as Dame's. And y'all know how I feel about Steph in defense. $115. He ain't hitting no 120. Wardell has never hit 120. Wardell, who has been hunted on defense throughout his career, has never hit the numbers that Dame Lillard has. Okay? His apex was a 101. This is Steph Curry we're talking about. 115. Dame's out here pushing 120 back-to-back years. Wardell won a chip with a 108 defensive rating. Dame was out here shooting the same amount of threes, roughly around the same percentage, but was 12 points worse on defense than Wardell. No. You're just not the best of your era. You're not. You're not. So we got the waiting game that with Dame continues. Let's move on with a couple of quick NBA things. Pascal Siakam could be traded before the regular season starts. I'm going to tell y'all right now, he might have company because I'm pretty sure OJ Anunoby is going to also be gone with Pascal Siakam. Masai Ujiri is trying to get a rabbit out of the hat. He's trying to get a Kawhi steal-off type trade. It's not going to happen, but I think Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby are both going to be gone. If it's up to Masai Ujiri, they're both gone. Now, he might not find takers for both, but he's trying to get rid of both. Now, last week, I think it was during the free agency kickback that we had, which, if you missed that, is on the live tab. You can watch that replay. It's still there. We had a really good talk about Chet Holmgren. And I was telling y'all here on the stream that, yo, I got people that I know and trust telling me, yo, Chet is going to be a problem. And Chet was out here in Summer League the other day, and he was cooking. And he was cooking from all levels, including the paint. And y'all see what that man looked like. This was cooking on the block, in the post. So, Thunder fans are starting to get hype. Your battery percentage shows the odds of Chet Holmgren winning Rookie of the Year. Because remember, even though this is technically his second year, it's a Ben Simmons thing. He didn't play last year. So this is his rookie year. Your battery percentage shows the odds of Chet Holmgren winning Rookie of the Year next season. What do you have? Josh Giddey, another one of those draft picks that Presti has hit on, and it's cooking. He said his phone's fully charged. And I believe Jalen Williams also tapped in and said, yep, his phone's at 100% too. So while everyone thinks Big Vic, Victor Wembanyama, is going to walk in here and get Rookie of the Year, here's another dude that has a similar type size and shape and frame and skill set that people are waiting on. And this is now 2 years of NBA nutrition and lifting. Not just Big Vic, who's going to come over here and now, we assume, turn it up a notch from a physicality standpoint in the weight room. Big Chet is going to be a problem. Big Vic or Big Chet, or does Scoop steal off on all of them and get Rookie of the Year? Y'all let me know in the chat, or if you're watching this live on the replay, in the comments. Who you got for a way too early Rookie of the Year? Chet, Big Vic, Scoot, or other? Let me know. Okay, let's see where we at here. We about an hour in. Salute to those who have been tapping in. I appreciate it. All right, so there's a disturbing thing that's been happening. You know what? I'll skip that. I don't want to get into that. Oh, Scrub Zero going with Scoot? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna write these down. I still got stuff from the football offseason that I wrote down to take notes. Boogie Down is ducking the smoke because we ain't talk NFL in a minute, but I still got him on paper. Where's his prediction? It was over under on somebody. It might be in another book. I wrote it down though. I got him. Oh no, Boogie Down. May 11th, over on the Browns 9.5. Boogie Down EJ. Our chief, he's on the West Coast, big Lamar Jackson guy. Browns over 9.5. Okay, so now I'm going to put down Scrub is going with Scoot for Rookie of the Year, July 5th. Scrub 0. Scoot, Rookie of the Year. All right, it's documented. We got it. Magic Man's pulling up. Another different avatar for him. Looks good, Magic Man. Let's get into some hot take shit, right? I was going to serious y'all out with a different story, but let's get into some hot take shit. So this came on with your man's Colin Cowherd today. Again, understand that these dudes have to do shit for clicks, and they have to do content because this is a slow period. There's not a lot going on. That's why this is the last full week of Everyday Timeline Teas. The DCMD podcast will be popping back up starting next week. I'll be popping in when there's important shit going off, and just stay subscribed, stay locked in. I got more content for you. I'm not going completely away, just going away from the everyday live streaming. And I appreciate those that have been locked in and tapped in, and I hope y'all continue to rock with the content going forward. So this is what Colin Cowherd and his people drew up today to create buzz. Homegrown championships, stars who won titles with teams that drafted them. And this went around the world, i.e. the timeline, and it went kind of crazy. Here's the problem. There's a lot of people missing from this list. Michael Jordan won 6 titles, right? He did win all 6 with the Bulls. Magic Johnson was drafted by the Lakers. He did win all 5 with the Lakers. Kobe Bryant was not drafted by the Lakers. Kobe Bryant was not drafted by the Lakers. Kind of saying. That's all. I'm going to just put that out there. We all know what happened. We all know Charlotte drafted him and then traded him to LA. So by the definition of this graphic, stars who won titles with the team that drafted them, the LA Lakers did not draft Kobe Bryant. So if you're going to do all of that, if you're going to allow Kobe on here, then you got to put Scottie Pippen up here. Then you got to put Scottie Pippen up here because the Supersonics drafted Scottie, but then they traded him to the Bulls on draft day. So if Kobe could sneak on here with 5, even though he's a Charlotte Hornet, then how come Scottie Pippen can't be on here when he's a Seattle Supersonic? I don't get it. But just this narrative, and there's a lot of people that believe that these rings here mean more than LeBron in all his rings. And again, LeBron won a ring for Cleveland. Where's his ring? Cleveland did draft him. So even though it's a technicality because he left but then eventually came back, LeBron deserves to be on this list with his one. But because this is the internet, because this is TV, because we need to get engagement, let's leave LeBron off. That'll really get him in their feelings. And people are buying it. People are falling for it. And the fact that they just try to get Giannis on here and didn't even try to spell the Nigerian freak's last name is really, I won't say that R word, but it's really problematic. I'll just say that. It's very problematic, okay? So, if you're going to have Kobe here when he's really a Hornet, then you should have Scottie Pippen, even though he was a supersonic for a few minutes. But the narrative of homegrown chips, do y'all in the chat feel, whether you're watching this live on the replay, do y'all feel that homegrown championships mean more than winning a championship with the team that signed you as a free agent? Because you could get a championship by signing with the team that, as a free agent, because the team that drafted you, it was a bad fit. Chauncey Billups was drafted by what? Was that Boston? It was a bad fit with Patino and all that. It was a bad fit. Then he won a championship with Detroit. You think winning a championship with Boston would have felt more for Chauncey than winning a chip with Detroit, the franchise that actually trusted him and entrusted him to go be the dog that he turned out to be? Do you think Chauncey would feel any better if that ring came in Boston as opposed to Detroit? Come on, man. Yes, Magic Man, people change. You're right. The fact still, LeBron should be on here. Yeah, I mean, he won a chip with Cleveland. It's one chip, so you get him in here. They could have put like a little bracket, a little parentheses, and put Dirk, Giannis, Jokic, and LeBron right there with one. It still would have made Bron look bad. Like leaving Bron off is more salacious, but like you could have still thrown shade by having him lumped here at the bottom because everybody knows he's got more than one chip. But once you add in the stipulation, oh, the team that drafted them. Scrubs are really suspect, to put it mildly. Yeah, I mean, you can't fit Antetokounmpo. Just make the font smaller. People would understand. Like, you can't keep the same symmetry with the font size. We get it. Like, it's a font. We understand. You can't fit it. So you do this one at a smaller. All right, whatever. Magic Man saying homegrown easies. Okay, so homegrown chips mean more than chips as a free agent. Okay. All right. I think it depends on the player, to be quite honest with you. Like, let me think. If the Beard won a chip with Philly or Brooklyn, do you think ultimately he would care that it wasn't in Houston? Or no, scratch that. The point fraud. Because I'm wearing my point guard merch that I had out here for when Rondo was a Laker. If the point fraud wins a chip with the Dubs, you think he would give a damn that it didn't happen with the Hornets? Do you think he would cry more if it was with the Hornets? No, he's just happy to get a ring. Like, GP got a ring. Would it have meant more if he would have got it done with him and the Rain Man and, you know, Nate McMillan and all those dudes back there, Schrempf and all of them? Yes, sure. Hersey Hawkins or, you know, the other Irving Johnson, sure. But he still went to Miami and got a ring, and he's happy as hell that he got that ring. Whether it's in Seattle or Timbuktu, that man is happy that he got a ring. So I don't know. Magic Man saying the exceptions with Chauncey. I don't know, man. I don't think GP cares that ring was in Miami as opposed to Seattle. I don't think so, man. Scrub Zero, not really. The only year I discount is the bubble year. Every other year, it just is what it is. I don't care if it's homegrown or not. Yeah, I mean, if AD could have won a chip with the Pels, would it have mattered as opposed to the one he won with the Lakers? I don't think so. Like certain guys, yes, sure. Like, I think you can make a case for some guys. Like I'll take Magic Man's point here, right? Like KD winning with the Sonics, or even when they went to OKC. If OKC could have got a chip, if they could have beat the Heat in that one finals appearance, I don't know, because KD was so young. I don't know if that chip would have hit. Like D-Wade loves talking about that 06 ring. So maybe I'm bugging. But because KD was so young, I don't know if that chip, if he could have got one in OKC going through Wade and LeBron and Bosh, I don't know if that would have hit any different than the chip he won with the Warriors. The chips, that he won with the Warriors. We can take hopefully off of this, Magic Man. He will never win. He will never win. The Warriors are not winning the championship. And y'all can mark this. We can write this down on this date. July 5th, 5:19 p.m. Sam D says the Warriors are not winning the championship. I'll mark it my damn self and like have it cut up. And if the Warriors go out here and win a Larry O.B., I will play this clip back and laugh at myself on my own live stream. So let's see. I count the bubble. I was rooting for the Mavs to win it all. Like, okay, Luka gets a chip in Dallas. It's amazing, right? He follows the lineage of Dirk, all of that. But again, wasn't he technically an Atlanta Hawk? Was that trade before the selection or after the selection? Come on. Yeah, Luka can't be on this list. He was a Hawk. Luka can't even be on this list. So that means Trae Young can't be on this list because Trae Young was a Mav. Where are we at here? Here we go. Let's close that out the window. We're not using that. All right. Script Zero market for the day, this day forth. The point for will never win a chip. Hey, I'm with it. So me and Scrub Zero out here saying the point fraud will never win a chip. We outside. And here comes the usual KD slander from Magic Man. He had a lot of help in blowing that 3-1 lead, by the way. He had a lot of help. A lot of help. He had a lot of help in blowing that 3-1 lead, just saying. But yeah, I felt like this topic here was so weird because, one, there's technicalities that make Kobe shouldn't even be on here. And then you're trying to show a list without LeBron to shade LeBron when you could have shaded LeBron by putting him like in parentheses or something. And then you won't even have the guts to shrink your font to fit the Nigerian Freak's last name on this list. It's just weird. There's a lot of weirdo shit with this list. But this is content. And this is why I'm going to be taking a break, because I don't want to have to be stuck making up shit like this. Like, I don't want... You got to pay me M's to have to pull up to work to do shit like this. Like, nah. I refuse. All right. Let's slide over to some NFL. Josh Allen, on the speculation on the fact that, there was a lot of talk of Stephon Diggs pulling up to camp and not trying to report, or just showing up and not having that wherewithal of, oh, maybe I should be participating. But he was like, I'm here, but I'm not playing. That was a much ado about nothing if you let Josh Allen say it. Media blew Stephon Diggs' situation out of proportion. I love him. That's my guy. We are in minicamp. We're not playing the game for 4 months. He doesn't show up for one day. He's still there. Coach asked him to go home. They're in talks. Coach asked him to go home? That's called passing the buck, Josh. Get the heat off me. Him and Coach the one not getting along. Go talk to Coach. Who you fooling, Josh? Coach asked him to go home? Okay. They're in talks. They're trying to resolve some things. What are those things, Josh? They're still talking about it. Let it go. There's no reason to continue talking about it. Josh, you just gave us a reason to continue talking about it. You said Coach asked him to go home, and they're still trying to figure it out and resolve it. That was weeks ago, Josh, and they're still talking about it? You just gave us a reason to continue to talk about it, Josh. Aren't you media trained? You're running around here doing pods on a network that has a lot of prejudice. You're media trained. You're media trained, Josh Allen. How come you passed the buck off yourself and put it back on Sean McDermott? I'll let y'all let me know that answer. 49ers. Trey Lance is happier in a great spot ahead of third 49ers season. A season where he can actually finally play, hopefully more than 2 games. He's saying how much he's happier looking forward. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in a great spot physically, mentally, and just excited for the year. He's had many challenges since joining the Niners, including a broken finger suffered in the preseason of his rookie year. Then just 16 snaps into week 2 of the 2022 NFL season while still dealing with the lingering effects of the finger injury. The signal caller suffered a season-ending ankle injury. Okay? Just wanted to put that out there. Everyone's screaming about Brock Purdy, and I think Magic Man is one of those guys, but, Trey Lance is ready. Might be the most ready he's ever been. All right, so let's see. And hit the chat. Scrub Zero. Like if Jaylen Brown goes to a different team after the season and wins a chip, I don't think it means any more than winning in Boston. I agree. Especially if he goes to Atlanta. I'd rather win one for the crib. It would have been 1,000 times more respectful ring if he won in Seattle than in Golden State. I think that's an exception, just like Chauncey. Like the Chauncey is an exception towards what I'm saying. I think the KD thing would be an exception towards your way and what you're saying. Because the whole Seattle, then OKC, cool, word. However, winning the chips in Golden State, yes, they matter. Yes, they count. Yes, they showed what he can be at his apex when he has this significant talent around him to win. However, I don't think it would have meant that much to Russie or the Beard, because the Beard was still there. You think the Beard would care about that chip in OKC? Let's say they win that chip in what was that? What year was that? 2016? Let's say they win that chip. No, it wasn't 2016. That was 2011? I forget what year that was. Let's assume OKC beats Miami that year, right? They get a chip. Russie, KD, and the Beard, all youngins. They get a ring. And then whatever happens still happens, right? KD still goes to Golden State. Russie stays there, gets an MVP. The beard bounces and goes to Houston. Let's say all that stuff still happens. You think they would hold that ring in such high regard? Like, I don't think KD holds that ring in that high regard. To him, a ring is a ring. I don't think KD ties that affiliation or ties the location with the ring, unless it was with the Wizards because he's from the DMV. But like outside of that, like we have rarely even heard him speak on Seattle like that. Like I think that's more fans wanting that to be a thing or assuming that'll be a thing than actuality, in my opinion. $2011-2012. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Josh Allen wasn't thinking too clearly when he said that, was he? No, he wasn't. He's supposed to be media trained. All these guys go to these media symposiums. They have media managers. They take classes to get trained up on how to, dodge questions or give word salad answers to, satisfy a question they don't want to answer. And Mans walked right in there and just threw Sean McDermott right into the fire. Trey Lance would have played the whole year if he didn't get hurt. Right. So let's see him play the whole year this year. That's all I'm saying. But with those weapons, job ain't that hard. Job ain't that hard, bro. Stay upright. Somebody open. All those weapons, somebody open. Or you know what? Just take off and start running. Even though you're not the most athletic, I think people were gassed off of your appearance when it came to that. But, All right, let's see. Did we miss anything before we head up out of here? It has been about an hour and a half. Let's see. Are we missing any information? Fred VanVleet and Siakam were deeply frustrated with young Raptors players. That sounds like shade towards Scotty Barnes. I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'll do some investigating. If it merits anything, maybe tomorrow I'll touch on that. The Heat are interested in Landry Shamet. We mentioned Shamet earlier. Okay, so nothing new. Just make sure, do the rounds. Oh, yeah, let me make sure y'all can see it too. Shit, I don't care. Boom. When this is breaking news, that lets you know how slow the day is. Tony Allen has signed with the Big Three. That lets you know how slow of a day it is. So I hope y'all appreciate me out here ignoring stories that don't matter like this and like trying to find actual information that I can inform y'all on and we can laugh and do our shit here in the chat. Magic Ben, I like Lance and I hope the brother succeeds. Hey, look, I mean, to me, it's just about, if he's healthy, it's going to be hard for him not to succeed. Like, I just don't understand how he could be healthy and not succeed. Oh, no, there was more stuff here with Legion, right? Yeah, it's nothing going on. Summer League tickets for Big Vic sold out for, what's that, Friday? Friday's game. Oh, do we do anything around Big Vic's Summer League? I don't know about that. I don't know. I got things to do Friday. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing going on, bro. Yeah. Poor Bol Bol. Bol Bol can hoop, yo. All right. I don't think there's anything going on there. I'll check one last John. And then I will bid y'all a good night. I'm glad y'all are safe. Would that page disappear? Oh, it's Hoop Central. My bad. Not Hoops Central. Yeah, see, this here got a lot of people fired up thinking that James Harden was having second thoughts. This means nothing. The owner of the fucking team threw a party, and Harden showed up. doesn't mean he now wants to stay with Philly. Like, yeah, all of this stuff is crazy, how people just take narratives and run with it. Like, this doesn't mean that because he showed up to an all-white party on a boat, on a yacht that's owned by the team that he kind of wants to leave, this doesn't mean that he's having second thoughts. Like, stop it. Debodrick White, thank you for pulling up, sir. Should Zion be traded? Okay, I'll give you two answers. Yes, he should be traded, right? He should be traded. I don't think the Pelicans are ever going to reach the apex of what they think they could be with Zion Williamson. I think that team should be built around Young Reaper, a.k.a. B.I., a.k.a. Brandon Ingram. I think he's the star on that team. I think he's the number one option on that team. Zion can play off of Brandon Ingram, but I think the league and that organization is trying to force feed Zion to be the number one. And I just don't see Zion being that guy. I don't think Zion is built for it from a mentality standpoint and from a moxie standpoint. I don't think he has that. I don't think he has the dog in him like that. Clearly, with his moves off the court, he has a different type of dog in him. But when it comes to on the court, he just doesn't have that to me. So I think if you're the Pels, you can probably sell high and get a lot for Zion. That's what I would do. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But here's the second answer. No, they should not trade Zion because I don't think you can get fair value for Zion Williamson. I think if they were actually able to try to trade Zion, like let's say if the Knicks are out here calling the Clippers about Paul George, they will probably take a call from the Pelicans about Zion. And you're going to take back. I'll ask you this. Let me see. Where is he? Did he go? Oh, Debodrick. Would you take RJ Barrett? I'll give you the same deal. The same deal. Would you take RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, 3 first-round picks for Zion Williamson? Hopefully you're still in the chat. You let me know. If you are the Pelicans, would you accept RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, and 3 first-round picks for Zion? And that's the problem. Because to me, I don't think that the Pelicans would accept that deal. And that's entirely that's why I said the answer is yes and no. Because yes, because he's never going to be the guy there. He's never going to be the guy that he was expected to be there. I'm not saying he's a bust. He's just not going to be the number one guy on an NBA championship contending team, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Okay? And it's nothing to do with off the court shit. Purely on the court. Right? So yes, they should trade him. But no, because you can't trade him because you're not going to get fair value for him. Because on the off chance that he puts it all together and becomes what they thought he was going to be, you can't accept that for no damn RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, and 3 first-round picks. Can't do that. So that's why, to me, the answer is yes and no. Scrub Zero. Harden just likes to party, dog. Yeah, that's I don't know why people don't get that. I don't know why people don't understand that this man just he likes to be outside. And if there's a yacht party, he's pulling up. I mean, H-Town legend. His jersey is in the rafters of a strip club. Like, well, what are we talking about? Like, of course he's outside at a white party. Magic Man, about my profile pic the way it is because I lost it. Yo, Magic Man, you stay. Yo, bro, what bets do you win, bro? Like, bro, you stay losing bets. Is it the same dude you lost it to? It's the same dude that made you switch it up to Mahomes? And then the shade. Always with the shade. Mavs Man, what's good? What's good? Y'all support, we got Scrub Zero does content on YouTube, support him. Mavs Man does content on here, support him as well. Magic Man. KD says, and I quote, I promise I will or we will, whatever it was, to win a championship in Brooklyn. I mean, look, he promised a lot of people a lot of things. You know, he had that shot against Milwaukee, but his foot was on the line. Like if his shoe size was a half a size smaller or a quarter size smaller, you know, they probably at least get to the finals, and then you never know at that point. So I don't think he was that off from it. Shit just didn't go right. I mean, you know, the Bucks would have been eliminated. So they would have been in good standing. I would have made them the favorite over the Phoenix, over the Suns that year. I mean, just off the point fraud alone, but just off the strength of everything else. You had the Beard and you had KD, even though the Beard was hurt, and then Kyrie was trying to come back from injury. You would assume by the finals he would have been back. They probably win the chip, bro. The Bodrick, he can't stay healthy. I mean, that's kind of the issue with Zion, right? Like that's kind of the problem with Zion. It's kind of the problem. You know, you're talking about a guy who wants to get a bag. He's up for an extension. He wants to get a bag, but you know, 61 games and 29 games last year and missed a whole year. Like it's really rough to try to put that out there. Wait, Debodrick, so you would take the RJ deal? You would take this deal? Woof. I wouldn't. If I'm David Griffin, I'm not taking that deal. I can't do it. I would hope I could get better. I would go to the Nets and holler at them about Cam Johnson before I go to the Knicks and holler at them about RJ Barrett. Give me Cam Johnson. I would get Fournier away. Just keep that boy off my team. I mean, Fournier is such an enigma that he's been talked about as much as trade talks, almost as much as John Collins. Like he's an evergreen guy that's always in trade rumors. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But for those who are pulling up and missed earlier, we're breaking down a lot here, right? A lot of Knicks stuff, a lot of Blazers stuff. But the main thing is, the Knicks said no to Paul George. They said it was too expensive. They already backed out of that deal. They talked to the Clippers. The Clippers gave them what it would take, what it would cost to get Paul George. Then Paul George, through intermediaries, or maybe he told the Clippers to tell the Knicks, I don't know, maybe his agent reached out, whatever. Paul George said, I want an extension. And then the Knicks said, I'm not doing that. And they walked away. That was a deal breaker. So if PG just didn't want the extension, it's more than likely he would be a Knick today. And that's hilarious to me because I think this is the rare lose trade if this would have happened. This would have been a bad trade for the Knicks. This would have been a worse trade for the Clippers. And this would have been a bad move for Paul George. So this is one of the better moves just because it didn't actually happen. I think all three sides, the Knicks side, the Clippers side, and Paul George, are all better for this deal not happening. Because none of them would have prospered in this deal. None of them. Kobe fan, what up, D-Sam-D? What's good, bro? What's good? Hey, Kobe fan. Keep it real. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right. Should Kobe be on this list? Homegrown championships, stars who won titles with the team that drafted them. Should Kobe and his 5 rings from the Lakers be on this list? You let me know in the chat and just be careful with your answer because we've already had this discussion. But since you're here, should Kobe be on this list? And since I put this list up again, why isn't Bron on this list? Because he won a chip in Cleveland. And second of all, based off what Kobe fan says about Kobe, where's Scottie? But that's all based off what Kobe fan says. If he keeps it real, then we'll have a real conversation. But let's see. The Bodrick White, what better deal can you get? Well, here's the deal, right? So there was talk of Zion in this Dame stuff prior to the draft, right? In theory, you could have gotten Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, and the third pick, which likely would have been Scoot Henderson, for Zion. So you tell me, DeBodrick, you want RJ, Quentin Grimes, and Fournier and 3 future first-round picks, or Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, and Scoot Henderson? Magic Man letting us know his feelings. The only person I don't like in the NBA is Kevin Durant. Oh, excuse me, it's Kevin. If y'all don't know, that's Kevin Durant. Thank y'all for those who are pulling up. If you could drop a like, I would greatly appreciate it. Helps the algorithm let people know that y'all are enjoying this content. Sometimes the best moves are the ones that that don't get made. That's right, Scrubs here. That's right. I think this move would have been really horrible for all the people involved. All the people involved. Knicks would not be any better with Paul George. I shit you not. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. But I'm saying the Knicks would not be that much better of a team with Paul George. Okay, Kobe fan says yes, but he also gives the caveat. I know he's drafted by the Hornets, but still. Okay, all right. So as long as you admit that he was drafted by the Hornets. Okay, well, then that's the case. Where's Scotty on this list? Where's Scotty on this list? Because Scotty was drafted by the Supersonics, but he was traded to the Bulls. And he's got 6 rings too. So if you're putting Kobe in here, even though Kobe was drafted by Charlotte, then Scotty needs to be up here with his 6. Oh, no, he shouldn't be on there. Okay, all right. See, now, this type of Kobe fan I could talk to. Okay, I respect that. So, but see, that's the thing. These people are trying to create content, and they're trying to create content and shake things up. Scotty doesn't fit on this list because Scotty was never a number 1 option, right? Scotty was never a star of any of these guys' levels that is on this list, right? So he doesn't fit. Then, because it's Colin Cowherd, and he needs to create traction, you know what we'll do? We'll leave LeBron off the list. That'll really get him worked up. And then that's how we have that. And then you know what we're going to do? We're not even going to bother to spell the Nigerian freak Antetokounmpo's last name. Let's see. I love that y'all are communicating in the chat. Love that. Love the convos. The Bodger got to think about it. Bruh, what's there to think about? What's there to think about? What's there to think about, bro? Give me Scoot. Scoot's the best player out of all those deals. Scoot better than RJ. Give me Scoot over RJ right now. Give me Scoot for the chance to get Scoot. And you're giving me Shaden Sharp, who I could argue has a better ceiling than RJ Barrett. What? Why ain't they have Giannis' full name? Well, where is it? Oh, shit. I got to move that damn tab. Where's that tab? Here we go. Let me move that tab down here. All right. So they did not put Giannis' full name here because they're lazy. Because they don't want to make this font smaller to fit his last name here. Right? So they just put Giannis because it's lazy. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I've worked in production trucks where they're creating these graphics. And I'm sure there was an operator and there was a producer that had to go over this graphic. And they made a collective decision to omit Giannis Antetokounmpo's last name because it has too many letters and would have bled into the numbers. But what they could have done is made this font smaller because I know the equipment in the truck because I work in the industry. They could have made this font smaller to fit his full name. Now, it wouldn't look pretty. And this is what sometimes people get into their heads too much, because they'd rather have this list out here looking symmetrically pretty than to making it look right. Hit the chat. So y'all want to blow up the Clippers? We talked about that. Y'all want to blow up the Clippers? I will happily do that Paul George deal if instead of PG we got Scoot and Sharp. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dog. Like Scoot and Sharp, psh. Zion, you and Mariah can have fun. Have fun in Portland. Have fun up there in Portland. You and Mariah. You and Mariah. Let's see. Magic Man, here's the deal. They both want extensions. Are you going to pay them? They both want 4-year max extensions. They both have done their 4 years. Kawhi is eligible this month for an extension, and Paul George is eligible in September for an extension. That's why he told the Knicks, I want my extension. So wherever you move them, they want their extension. So do you just let them walk? Get one last year of whatever you get? You're lucky if you get 60 games each and just let them walk away and get nothing? Or do you blow it up now and at least know you're going to get something? Man, DeBodrick's still thinking about it, bro. He's still thinking about it. DeBodrick, what's good, bro? I mean, I know the potential of Zion is a lot, right? The potential of Zion is a lot. It's a lot of highlights. It's a lot of dunks. He looks strong. He can fly through the air with which is crazy with the guy of his size and weight. But at the end of the day, this dude is 6'6", and that's generous. Okay, that's a generous 6'6". You're not going to have a championship with Zion as your number one option. I will put my whole reputation on that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. He'll do great things on the court. He'll put up numbers. He's a stat filler. He is a modern day stat filler. Like, he can do all this shit. Look at this shit. 43, 36, 26. You know, he hits the glass. He gets you dimes. He gets you steals, blocks. A lot of turnovers too, but he gets you all this shit. Scrub Zero. I think the Clips may have to let them just walk. At least Kawhi, someone is going to give up something for PG, so you got to make a run to get something back. I agree with part of that, right? Like, I think you can. I just can't let Kawhi walk, yo. I can't let Kawhi walk, right? That knee has been fucked since before he got to Toronto. That knee is gone. It is. He has a degenerative condition in the knee, allegedly. There's not much more he can give you. I'm not saying am I saying Kawhi's on the downhill? I don't know if I want to jump out on that ledge. Because he's Robot Jordan. Kawhi Leonard is Robot Jordan. So I don't want to be the idiot that says Kawhi is washed or Kawhi is done. And then he's out here shooting 50% from the floor and 42% from three. Like, I don't want to be that guy. But at some point, these injuries, I mean, he had an ACL on top of the fucked up knee. Like, there's only so much more his body could take. Scrub Zero, if you could somehow get something for Kawhi too, then you have to give it a go, but I don't think that's realistic. Yeah, it's going to be hard to, I mean, maybe a sign and trade, that's probably about it. Kobe fans switching it up. Who do you think is the most pressure QB in the NFL next year? I will say, so the most pressure, who has the most pressure on them in the NFL? Isn't it Lamar? I think it's Lamar. Aaron Rodgers he's won a chip. He's just coming off before last year 2 back-to-back MVPs. I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers. I think it's Lamar. And I've been a big proponent of, the Ravens surrounding Lamar Jackson with help. They gave him the bag, and they have also now surrounded him with help. So as someone that's been in the Lamar camp, in terms of battling people here on YouTube, in terms of trying to extol his virtues as a passer, I've had many people in the comments of my Lamar content tell me that he's a running back, tell me that he's inaccurate, tell me that even if he had help, he still ain't that good. Like, I've had a lot of people tell me that Lamar isn't a competent NFL starting quarterback. I had people tell me the Lamar NFL MVP year was a fluke. So now he got the bag and he's been given weapons. There are a lot of naysayers that are waiting to see what Lamar Jackson does this year. The first year, we can honestly say the Ravens have surrounded him with help. If he doesn't live up to the expectation, if he has a mid-year, if he gets injured again, if he shows signs of being erratic, all of that, any of that, they're going to be on his ass. Pause. No Jalen Green. They're going to be on his ass. Pause. It's going to be I think it's Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers has pressure, but that's just from a New York point of view. Yes, the team is stacked and they expect to win and they were a QB away. So I get why people would say Aaron Rodgers, right? However, even if the Jets thing fails, he still has a ring. He's still coming off 2 MVPs in the last 3 years. He's still him. Lamar, people are still questioning if he's even close to being him. People are trying to invalidate his MVP season as a fluke. So I think the QB with the most pressure on them is actually Lamar Jackson. Good question though, Kobe fan. I appreciate that. Mavs, man. They might have to blow it up by the deadline if Russ is the only one playing games. And that's another thing. And also we got to throw the Beard in this mix because, for all intents and purposes, looked like they were the front runners to get James Harden. So you throw in the Beard, you throw in Russie, you throw in PG and Kawhi. This team, I mean, it will be a mess on paper. A mess on paper. I'm still leaning for they're going to have to probably give up Norman Powell or Marcus Morris to get the Beard. That might turn into a 3-teamer, 4-teamer as well. Especially if the Sixers want to move Tobias Harris as well, because then that money is too much. You got to add in a 3rd or 4th team. Scrub Zero. I think it may be Lamar. I got my eye on Frogers, but I'm not expecting too much from him anyway. Lamar, right or wrong, he's going to have to show this season and show big. And that's kind of my point. Because in the whole leading up to the franchise tag and, no agent and his mom representing him and all the yada, 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 all the teams colluding, in my opinion, colluding to make sure that no team offered him anything substantial when the Ravens went with the 2nd-tier franchise tag, the non-exclusive tag as opposed to the exclusive tag. When they did all of that to me was like, yo, he's got to show and prove. because they don't believe. They don't believe in him. They gave him Odell Beckham. They gave him Zay Flowers. They got Bateman back. They got Dobbins in the backfield healthy. They got Mark Andrews. They have a new OC who actually will allow him the freedom to call audibles and slide pass protection at the line, something Greg Roman did not allow him to do. Now, again, how Harbaugh allowed that for years, he needs to be called to task for that. But the bottom line is this: there's a new system. There's going to be a learning curve. Will Lamar be offered the grace to fuck up early in a new system? I don't know. Most likely, no. Because the people that didn't like him the last few years are going to be right there ready to roast him when he has a bad game. They're like, now they gave him talent and he's still fucking up. Like you can see the headlines. Even with talent, even with, weapons all over the place, Jackson struggles. Jackson struggles again with new lineup. Do the Ravens have buyer remorse? You can see all the headlines into the future if Lamar goes out here and is mid. Scrub Zero. I think another guy who has to show this year is Justin Herbert, even though he probably won't get that level of attention by the general public. I think that's a comment. I think that's an opinion held by people like us, though, Scrub Zero, because I think the Chargers would give him that extent. They would give him the extension without even blinking. If they could do it right now, if the money was right, they would sign him to that extension right now. And I haven't heard a lot of national criticism about Justin Herbert. Like, there's been some whispers. So if you're saying those whispers could get louder this year, then it's possible, for sure. I can't wait for NFL. I can't wait. Like, this NBA has been, my strong suit, but I can't wait to be able to do consistent NFL content on here. I kind of came up with this whole concept of live streaming. I was not really into the whole live streaming shit, to be quite honest with you, but I wanted to put content out. I wanted to just jump in. And I started during the middle of the NFL season doing live streams. Like, I would come on after Red Zone was done and just, recap what I thought. And then that kind of spawned the idea of Timeline T when NFL and NBA were going on. And here we are. So I can't wait to do a whole full season of NFL because I love that shit. So if you're into NFL content, definitely subscribe and lock in. Most of y'all know we talk about any and all things. We talk about sports media here. We'll talk about soccer. We talked about Messi on this fucking channel. We talked about Tiger Woods and the whole live golf shit. We've talked about Serena and all that here. Like, no sports topic is off kilter. You know what I'm saying? All right, one last check of the timeline to see if there's anything we need to touch on. No, there's a report about Daniel Jones. Want some more NFL? Let's go. But I mean, it's not that big of a story. Daniel Jones reportedly asked for $47 million per year during contract negotiations with the team. Jones ultimately settled for $40 a year. Now, don't read this as factual. This is not true, right? 40 a year is not right. It's not true. And I will do this, and then we'll probably wrap up. Spot track. I hate when they see fallacies. Oh, boy. Okay, let's go Giants. Where is it? Active contracts. Where's Daniel Jones? There's Daniel Jones. Okay. Now, here's where his money is funny. You see this here, right? 4 years, $160 million, right? That equates to what? Right? $40 million a year, right? So when Dove says $40 million a year, it makes sense, right? $40 million a year, 4 years, $160, cool. Here's the issue. 9.5, 9 million, $500,000 workout bonus. So that's 19 million, right? 9 and 9 is 18, 500,000, 500,000, that's 19, right? Then they get some miscellaneous, almost 3 million. Okay? Does that add up to 40? No. 35 million, 35 and a half. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Plus 9 million. Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Because that's already 44.5 million. And then $500,000. That's 45 mil. 45 mil. See? Straight cash, homie. Copy that. Now, 39 and $500,000. 39 and a half. Okay? Now that last year he gets a balloon payment on the back end. 46 and a half. 55 and a half. Plus 2 bonuses that get you 56.5 million. So he makes 40 million a year, but in essence, he's only making over 40 million or 40 or more million 2 of the years. Okay? But because they ballooned the numbers up with bonuses, incentives, all of that stuff, he has 35 million in incentives, by the way. 35 million just in incentives. This is why we do numbers on this channel. We look up the numbers, okay? And out of the 160 million, the total amount guaranteed, 92. And if we're going to do at signing, 81. So half the money was guaranteed at signing, right? $36 million signing bonus. But again, average salary, 40 mil. If you just look at the total numbers of this. So average salary is just this number. But, you know. We don't let people lie here. It's not 40 million. The math don't be mathing. Okay. Script 0. So you agree with Script 0? Well, I mean, I think we're all saying Lamar. I'm saying Lamar. I know that. Kobe fan said Aaron Rodgers. All right. I think we're about done here. Almost gave y'all 2 hours. All right. I'll stay on for the next 1 minute and 40 seconds just to hit that easy 2 hour mark. Man, I'll be coming on these streams thinking, it might be a struggle hour today, and then boom, 2 hours. Silly. Fucking silly. This Josh Giddey shit is hilarious. I love it. Chet Holmgren. I wonder what his odds are in betting. Chet Holmgren odds? All right. Any more NBA news? Yep, I told y'all that Tatum was out here recruiting Dame. It'll never happen. Clippers unwilling to trade. Oh, okay. This is new stuff. I have heard. I just don't think there's a lot out there right now for James Harden, Zach Lowe said. I just don't sense that there's a big appetite for teams to trade Philadelphia real stuff. As for the team that has been most linked to a potential Harden trade, the Los Angeles Clippers, Lowe said talks between the sides potentially haven't progressed that far. From what I've heard, they have been reluctant so far to offer Terrence Mann, picks, maybe even Powell. And I don't even know that the two sides have really even had super significant dialogue. Yeah, but why would you throw in Terrence Mann? If you have Maxey, all right, this will definitely push us over 2 hours. If we're gonna do that, Terrence Mann, right? Los Angeles Clippers, where are they? The hell? Oh, here we go. L.A. Why would they do that? Why would they put the Clippers as L.A. and then... All right, whatever. Why didn't that go through? Okay, there we go. Terrence Mann. We want active contracts. Terrence Mann. 11 mil? Him and Norm Powell ain't enough. That's only 29 million. The Beard is making 35.6. If you put Marcus Morris Sr. in there, you're right at 34 mil. And why would the Sixers want Terrence Mann when they have Quickly, even though they gave the bullshit about maybe not wanting to extend him or whatever? Maxey is better than Terrence Mann. So why would you? Again, weirdo shit. Like some stuff I just don't understand. Let's see. Where is it? Where'd that article go? Here we go. Harden averaged 13. Okay, so this is a stat breakdown of the fact of whether Harden has lost a step, right? We'll do this and then we'll get up out of here. Harden averaged 13.5 drives to the basket per game last year, 10 fewer than he did 5 seasons ago. He scored fewer points off those drives than he had since 2013-2014. A career low 25% of his shot attempts came at the rim. Second Spectrum tracks a stat called blow-by rate. I've heard of it, which is just what it sounds like, a measurement of how often a ball handler dusts his defender off the dribble. In his last full season in Houston, Harden blew by his defender 10.1 times per 100 drives. Last season in Philly, that rate was down to 3.7 per 100 drives. So they're saying he's a step slower, and he's not driving to the basket as much because he can't drive past people. They're also not mentioning the fact that he's not getting the foul calls like he used to. So yeah, if I'm not getting the calls I used to get when I drove mercilessly time after time because I kept getting fouls, then yeah, I'm not going to drive to the basket as much. I don't really co-sign a lot of this. I'm not saying it's a trash narrative per se. I'm just not going to be riding too crazy on that the Beard is washed or the Beard is done. Scripps here, that's too much funny money in Daniel Jones' contract. Yeah, bro. It's the NFL, man. Can't expect nothing less in the NFL. Can't expect anything less. Jalen Green, he's had quite the weekend, hasn't he? Anyway. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Like I said, this is probably the last week of everyday streams for Timeline T. But I will still be doing content. The DCND podcast will be back in full effect. So subscribe to that if you like the audio only, or stay subscribed here to get the visuals and the audio experience here. So I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I will be finishing out the week. So Thursday, Friday, you'll get Timeline Tees. I would like to think we'll get some news, whether it's Dame, whether it's the Beard. If not, then, once I peel back a little bit and slow down with the streaming every day and focus on some other things visually from, providing more content, then when those things happen, you'll get a live stream just like this. It'll just be a spur of the moment. Up, the news drop. All right, fine, let's pull up. So it'll be on that type of time. So I appreciate y'all pulling up. I appreciate the support on the channel. The channel is growing day by day. New subscribers day by day. But man. Oh, Scrub Zero. Do I? I've been writing in the Notes app ever since the season was over. And I mean the regular season. So I had to go back, add what happened in the playoffs. Then I had to go back and add what happened when he was allegedly waived. Then I had to go back and add when he was traded to the Wizards. And then I had to go back and add now that he is now a Warrior. So it's been an ever-evolving Taking the Church. But yes, Taking the Church is ready. Please believe. So the main thing is still trying to find the setting. Who's got a church for your boy to deliver this sermon? But either way, whether through some AI bullshit, well, I'm going to have some visuals this year. This will be the first time. That's why it might take a little bit longer to produce because I'm doing visuals. So, but the written part is done. Now it's just the performance, getting the right setting, all of that. So tap into that. Link is in the description. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow for another edition of Timeline T. I am your host, D. Sandy, a.k.a. Sandy Jr. Peace.